I'm ready. Good evening, Tuesday, the 30th of May, 2023. You're back for yet another episode of the Tiger Town podcast. And this evening, we've got back special guest by popular demand. We've got Todd here on the other end of the line with our regular host, Toby. How are you this evening, boys?
I'm good, Bart. I'm good.
Oh, there you go. This is going to be interesting. Three people, no idea when to talk, no idea what to say.
Yeah. We'll graduate to a real podcast now. We've actually got to coordinate and moderate, and it's going to be interesting.
That's going to be weird.
But I'm good, boys. Thanks for having me on. It's a very special day, the Origin Eve. And I put it to you guys last time I was on after we finished that get me on for an Origin preview, Splash Tigers preview. We've got a game this Friday. So, I thought, why not? Yeah, we're all Blue supporters, so we can talk about the Blue State, which is good.
Yes, we can.
I think so. Look, Blues Town podcast, I think tonight is probably the safest bet. What we should retitle it, I think, fair enough. There's no Maroon floating around here, despite the fact that if we look outside in our neighbourhoods, all three of us were in enemy territory.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It'd be interesting, but we might lose a few listeners if we change it to Blues Town podcast. But, then the breaks, got to be loyal. It's state of origin, not state of where you live.
Blues Town podcast sounds like we could go live from Bourbon Street. Sounds like a musical podcast, isn't it?
Well,
talking all things blues.
Yeah, I don't particularly want to go down that road. Let's start with the origin sort of topics. Let's do that.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, it's a weird time of year for us because there's the excitement, but also, as you said, Zach, we look outside. We all live in Queensland. We all live in Brisbane. We all love living in Brisbane, but we're all blue to the core. And I think living up here for that 8 years of torture proves that more so. None of us chopped, none of us changed. Not that I ever wanted to, but we got put through those years of just hoping, and now
tell me, boys. Sorry to cut you off there, Todd, but as fellow fathers, you just remind me that we're all fathers of Queensland children. Have we picked out a league, just south of the Tweed River to put them in their first junior game? I've already got my eyes down Tweed Seagulls. I'm thinking maybe the Ballina Hawks, something like that. I don't know what's going on down there, but I've already eyed off a couple of clubs.
Definitely don't want to chuck them with Byron Bay because then they'll just go down and turn into uppity fine people. But Kingscliff's got a good run, so we can maybe go Kingscliff. But look, I've got two girls, so who knows? Maybe they'll just decide to play netball instead. And if that's the case, it means I don't have to worry about Origin. It's good.
Hey, mate, NRLW is 2023 now.
Yeah, I know. And who knows? 15 years' time, it might be something big, but we'll see.
Yeah, for me, I think I'll just play by the rules. I'm too lazy for that. They're Queenslanders. They got gear. Not that their mother cares too much about the game. I think a lot of the time she's just happy the Blues win to shut me up because I'm a bit of a mess during the game and afterwards, especially when we lose.
Definitely.
It's the worst. Honestly, I would hate to watch Origin with me. It's horrid. It's not a fun experience. It's I reckon I could honestly do a live chat of me, a live broadcast of me watching Origin, and people would tune in to just watch this person absolutely melt down over a football game on which I have no control of what happens. So
sounds like you were describing me from March till about September every year.
Yeah.
I think we're all on the same page there for sure.
Oh no, you lose it. You lose at next level, Zach. You lose at next level.
I get the trophy. I win.
Pretty certain there's a hole in the wall that you've thrown a ball at. So
there's two, mate.
There's two. Yeah.
And that's only because we've moved house in the last few years.
That's right.
Yeah.
I find it interesting the people, especially with Tigers, whatever team they support, where they're just so like yourselves, you're so engrossed in the game, and you just write every emotion. Where for me, Origin is that I can sort of watch a Tigers game, we lose, in 5 minutes, I'm over it. What happened? Whatever, it doesn't matter. But with the Origin, I can't sleep. I'm just stressed to the max, and I don't even know why. Because it's just a spectacle. It's not my team. It's my state, and but it's a bit like that. As I said, it would be an experience. Zach, Toby's watched it. I think we've had many an argument even though we're supporting the same team.
I just told you to shut up and you swore at me.
Yeah. Oh, there's been many times where mums had to just tell us both to calm down during Origin time. But yeah.
For those new listeners that don't know, Todd and I are brothers. So anyone that doesn't know.
If you couldn't guess it already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the
listeners probably can't see us. We're brothers.
For people on Spotify, you would have no idea, but the YouTube watchers, the word doppelgangers just constantly comes across the screen. Obviously, Todd being the older, wiser, and slightly more handsome one of the two. But
thank you very much.
Toby's beard's currently longer and a little more majestic. But
we both have as much hair though. That's exactly right.
I have less because I shaved it. You still need to trim yours.
It's definitely getting worse on top. That's damn sure.
Anyway, family issues aside, speaking of how much it captures you, Todd. It's funny. It's not only Origin, I guess, with a lot of people. We were talking before about how just watching a regulation Tigers game, how that often does that to me as well. Origin, I'm the same, 100%. But it's funny how. What is that? What is it about rugby league for us as rugby league people here? It just captures you and you don't have control over it. You control your emotions, obviously. We don't act like complete fools all the time, particularly if we're watching games in public. We try to temper it a little bit, but it has a way of just grabbing you when you're a kid and just, I don't know, plugging into your emotions. And for true rugby league fans, I don't know what it is. Is it the culture? Is it what we grew up with? Is it exposure to the sport? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, to be honest. I think it's definitely got to be ingrained in us, that's for sure. But I do recall a time, I think when I moved up to Queensland, 2004, I actually went to the pub and sat in the restaurant part with my landlord and watched the Origin there. And I was very subdued. We won, but there was a moment where it just clicked. And it was, the lead up to it, the following of the news, the articles, the opinions. And that's one thing I've had to sort of separate myself from because, some Queenslander will say something absurd and I'm just like, go in on them. And I'm like, this is a person you'll never meet. This is and they're talking about someone you don't even know. So just leave it, just pull yourself back from it. But even with the Tigers thing, you game day, something different happens to you. You feel it in your guts. You feel like, oh my God, they're playing today. Oh, I've got to make sure this is done. So I'm all good to watch it. And then for me, you guys are happy to sit through the whole game. Toby, I still respect the fact you sat through that horrid game against the Roosters last year, which we won't talk about, where fine. I can separate myself from it and go, this is the Tigers I'm talking about, and go, today's not our day. I'm not feeling this game. Either walk away from it and just check on the score later. But when it comes to Origin, I can't. I'm sat there. I've got no nails by the end of it. I'm stressed. Even when these recent years where we've kicked ahead quite substantially, the Blues, I'm still stressed to the max. Until that full-time siren finishes and we are well and truly done, I'm into it. So, yeah, it's crazy.
The thing that I find really interesting is, I don't know about you, but I will never wear another NRL team's jersey. It'll always be the Tigers. You ask me to wear a Queensland jersey and I'll throw it over the fence and say goodbye. I'm wearing my blue jersey through. But if you ask me to wear an All Blacks jersey or a Kiwi jersey, I'll be more than happy to. I won't be sitting there going, I'm blue, I'm through and through Australia, all that stuff. I don't get passionate about when Australia play the way I do with New South Wales and Tigers. I just don't.
For other sports, you mean?
No, for like the Kangaroos for league.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. I know I said All Blacks, but I meant the Kiwis jersey or anything like that, or the Samoa jersey or the Tongan jersey. I'm more than happy to put it on. I'll be that's fine, because I don't have that same passion for the Australian jersey that I do for New South Wales and Tigers.
Yeah, I've actually got myself a Kummels jersey from World Cup 2012, maybe. That wouldn't be right. 2010, 2014, something like that. I really loved it and love what they did. I guess there was a gimmicky factor to that a little bit, but I don't know. It's interesting discussion anyway. But it lends me when we're talking about before about specifically being enemy territory. 2013. 2013 we ended the streak. 2014. Which
14.
one was it?
2014.
14. Jared Hayne in the crowd.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember? Because I do. where you were and what your reaction was when that happened, because as the now
100%.
infamous Jared Hayne has said, it was a long time.
100%. I was living with you, Zach. We were watching.
Yeah, you were.
We were watching it in the lounge room together at the place we were living at, and
did we cry? I think we
yeah,
cried.
but you also started yelling out the on the deck, going "F you, Queensland."
Oh yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
The top of my lungs around the neighbourhood.
Yep, vividly.
Yeah, I remember that. I was here in my own house, and my wife will attest to this. Origin Day, I've become better. And Toby knows this. I often start an argument, and it can be over nothing because I'm so wound up and stressed. And we had a huge argument that day over something I did, and it was completely my fault. And she said, "I hope Queensland win tonight." And I was like, I couldn't handle it. I don't know if you guys remember the game. It was a bludger. It was, in terms of the Origins, it was one of the worst ever. It was just, it was what I used to call what Laurie Daly wanted to do with the side, which was just defend. Just don't give them the ball. Defend. And we won, which was fantastic. The game before that, the game one in Queensland, I think we won 12-10. Bo Scott leveled Billy Slater on the last play. It was amazing. And that was the game where you were just like proud, so proud. Like, it was 100th Origin. We were in Queensland, and we just absolutely gave it to them, gave them everything.
So many heroics in that game. I remember there was that tackle from Brett Morris on Darius Boyd, body on body. Yeah.
It was just
game.
Josh Morris coming in to take out Inglis
with an ACL.
Yeah, with an injury. Oh, he had a PCL. That's right. And he was like, "Well, I've done it." Yeah. There's everyone turning up for themselves. The following game was just a bludger, and we got over the line, which was amazing. And then the dead rubber, they smacked us, and but you just didn't care. You were like, "Mate, we've got it." Yeah, that was the big moment. The big moment for us. But you can distinctly remember. I also remember all the losses where I was, and that's terrible because they come back to haunt you around this time of year.
Yeah,
and it was obviously the weight and the build up to all that too, and the amount of close losses that we had. Like, it wasn't like that team, as good as Queensland were during that 8-year run, dominated every single series and every single game, whitewashes or anything like that. It was flip of a coin. It was a point here, a point there.
Absolutely.
Over the course of that whole time.
Gidley was added to the squad.
Oh, Gidley. I think if you remember back to the previous series, the 2012 series, because Todd Carney played. So Queensland won the last game 21-20 in Queensland. They scored off an obstruction, a clear as day obstruction. Yeah. And it's, if you think about that, and obviously rugby league's a long game, that was early in the game. Did it really change the game? Would Queensland have lost? Who knows? But if we're going by the rules, they lose 20-14 and we win the series. They scored off a clear as day obstruction. And look, I'm not going to get into refereeing. I'm not going to say that they get a bias, but there were so many close moments in those series leading up to it where, other than the 2015 final game, which we don't talk about, which was an attacking just masterclass from Queensland, and what we expected from them every series, where they just smacked the shit out of us. Every game was close. They never really blew it out. We never blew it out. It was just kind of always back and forth. And it was anyway. But definitely.
I think it was something along the lines of I know this is not going to be factually correct. So it seems weird to say it, but it's something in this realm of, over the course of the 8 years, all those games cumulatively were separated by something like 30 or 40 points.
Ridiculous.
Over all those games in terms of for and against. Yeah. I don't, it's not exactly obviously something like that, but it's something really close to something like that. Yeah. Such a close period. And the euphoria obviously comes from being so close for so long, near on a decade. For us and everybody though, but living in enemy territory, we had to cop it constantly. Every day from work, I'd cop it left, right, and centre.
The year I moved up to Queensland was the year the streak started. So for 8 years,
It's your fault.
Yeah, it's all my fault that New South Wales lost for those 8 years, because I moved up in 2006, and that's when the streak started.
Yeah, because 05 was the last one that we had a pretty good series on.
Yeah, we had God in the side. It's pretty easy to do.
I got my 05 jersey on, boys. I won't go to the midsection. It's a bit tight around there, but yeah, it's my 05 Joey jersey. I'm closer to Jason Riles, I reckon, at the moment, just a bit shorter. But yeah, it was so such a big moment for us because as I said, I distinctly remember one of the biggest moments was one of the Origins. We lost 11-10. I'm going to guess game 1, 2015. I'm probably wrong, but I think it's that. The next day I go to work and we've got a meeting, and I said to one of the boys at work, "Was it just us?" And he said, "No, it's everybody from the site." So over 70 people, and I thought, "Oh, here we go." And I walked in, sat down, and my manager, who's a mad Queensland Broncos supporter, he goes, "Before we start, Todd, can you stand up, please?" And I was like, "You're kidding." And he's just gone, "Everybody give him a clap." Like, they tried. And I was like, oh. And I, you hate it, but you love it too. Like, that's good stuff. That's good banter.
Because you know at some point in the future you're going to get your moment.
Yeah. Well,
and we had our moment.
I did get my moment back on him. They have a meeting room, and when we smacked them in Perth, 36-6, I think it was. They do a big managers meeting, and in there they have a part that says discussions. And I went in there before the meeting and wrote New South Wales 36, the refs, because it was a penalty try, 6, and left it there. And so he had his whole thing, and he goes, "What's that written on that?" And he's like, "He got me." So I was like, yes. But that's good stuff. That's what we love. We love the good banter, the good.
Yeah, and that's what makes it too, doesn't it? That's what makes that whole mate versus mate from the get-go. 43 years ago or whatever it was, 1980.
Yeah.
It was built on that mantra, is that those sort of relationships as well. It's the same thing with my cousins that are born and bred in Redcliffe. Is if Queensland win, best be sure that the only text messages I receive from my cousins are going to be following that cheeky win. And it's just one or two words. It's just, "Hey, did you happen to catch the game tonight?" Something like that. And that's all it takes to fire me up. And likewise from them, I don't text them all year, and they hear from me if the Blues get one up. So
it's the best.
I guess it was that period of time that made the big difference. And in some ways, if we segue that back into talking about the Tigers' infamous streak at the moment of lack of finals appearances, there'll be a point in time, hopefully this year, but if not, then sooner rather than later, where we make the finals. And you can just imagine the moment that we know that we're in, whether it's the last game, last round, or whatever the case might be.
I'm going to
similar feelings of
I'm going to ball my eyes out.
Similar feelings are going to come, even if we scrape into 8th.
Yeah.
And get bundled out 50-0 in the first week.
Don't care. 60-70-0. We were there. That's all that matters.
I think I personally
top half of the competition.
I think I personally almost cried when we beat Penrith. So think about that, was just ending a losing streak. Imagine when we made the finals. I'll probably be a blubbering mess.
I think there was,
in case you blokes had forgotten. That's a long time.
We haven't forgotten. Don't you worry about that.
Long time.
It was. But I actually have a great story where a friend of my wife's, he is best friends with Trent Hodkinson's wife. And so his 30th was a fair few years ago, and we went to his 30th, and sure enough, Trent Hodkinson was there. He was playing for Newcastle at the time, and I'd had a few, and I was like, I've just got to talk to him. And I went up and, said g'day, introduced myself and said, "Look, I'm a huge fan, and 2014, man, if you've got a chance, no stress, love to have a chat to you." The most beautiful bloke came over. Me and him shared about 3 or 4 beers, and we just talked about footy the whole time, talked about that moment, talked about, how Newcastle were going at the time, which wasn't great. But yeah, it was awesome to have that moment with him, and hopefully another one soon. I've got to try and tee that one up again. So yeah, really, really lovely bloke. And I'm so stoked that he got that moment because he deserved it. He's just such a legend of a bloke and a great player. Was a great player.
I heard that he is a good listener of the Tiger Town podcast. Todd, you might
I'll drop him a message.
Might be able to send him that link.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Get him on as a special guest, old Hodgo, eh?
I think the last thing I sent him was when he retired, and I'm like, "Oh, congratulations, brother." And he messaged back and said, "Thanks, man." And said, "Catch up for a beer soon." Next message I sent him is going to be, "Can you listen to this where I talk about how lovely you are?" So
that's it. Yeah,
he'll love it. But anyway,
giving him plenty of glowing praises. All right.
So yeah,
look, you blokes have got me stuck in nostalgia and waxing lyrical about the past. I sort of want to go diving onto KO and see what games from the past I can find. If I do that, I'm going to get stuck in early '90s, mid '90s bash up fests, and I'll be there. I'll be awake all night. So best if I move on from that topic for the minute. But let's maybe get into a couple of things around Origin, a couple of contentious bits and pieces. I want to talk about your thoughts on Adelaide Oval, boys, as a neutral venue. I want to talk about the jersey. I think we've got a couple of things to talk about the jersey, and then we'll get into talking about the team and the selections and the way that we think the game's going to go. So first question I'll throw, maybe Toby, if you want to kick off. Adelaide Oval, what are your thoughts on a neutral venue? One, the fact it's in Adelaide, and also two, that it's an opening game.
Hate it. No, I don't like neutral. Don't like it. There's no passion. They haven't even sold out the Oval. There's nothing there. Like, it's not like when you go down. I know Todd's seen a couple of Origins up here. I don't know if you've seen any down in New South Wales, Todd. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I went to the Streak for Queensland, the first team to go 4 in a row. I went to that game.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm 5-0 for Origins. So I've never seen.
You're never allowed to go.
No, yes, but if you're a Queensland fan and you want to shout me, I'm more than happy to go.
Hey, to me, it sounds to me like you're due for a win. To be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Surely it's coming.
Yeah. Well, I've seen a couple, 2 or 3 down. It was at ANZ Stadium. It's not it's not as close as you would get when you're at Suncorp or anything like that. But the atmosphere is just something incredible. Batchy's Blues, screaming New South Wales. It's absolutely phenomenal. I'm sure the Queensland fans, you'll hear it all the time. Or Suncorp's a cauldron. It's this, that, and the other. There's no passion down in Adelaide. It's like, we're trying to grow the game. I'm like, but this isn't about growing the game. This is about state of origin, about the 2 states playing against each other in this contest. I don't like it at all. So
I mirror those thoughts as well. The one thing that I saw this week, which was kind of the NRL in their advertising sometimes needs to kick up the arse. They put a billboard in the middle of Rundle Mall. Beautiful. I love Adelaide. I think it's a fantastic city. I've been there a couple of times, got a really good mate that lives down there, and they are AFL mad. They are AFL psychotic. And they put a billboard up that said something along the lines of "Come see real footy." Now, what's antagonising them going to do? I don't get it. And I know this will always be a thing. I know that this is always going to be something they want to do. They want to grow the game. They want to make sure there's bums in the seats. I mean, I'm happy for an MCG game once every 3 years because they sell it out because they love their sport and they love their footy down there.
And they've got a presence. They've got a strong side down there. They've got a big following.
Yeah, and they've got members that, like, I think they're normally the top of the members numbers, the Melbourne Storm. So I'm always for that. But yeah, I hope that this is the last time they go to Adelaide. Perth as well, scratch that off the list. I think New Zealand would work because they love it over there. It would sell out.
But neutral supporters too, so that'll help us.
Absolutely. Neutral venues, I've never been a fan of. I think it needs to be 2. So this year would be 2 in Brisbane, 1 in Sydney. That's the way it should be from now on.
See, I wouldn't even mind taking it to somewhere else in New South Wales. So, like, when they did the Townsville one, like, that was a great game because we flogged them. We didn't have much choice then because the pandemic was around and we're all in lockdowns. But, somewhere else in Queensland that can actually house that many, that Townsville can, Newcastle can. It's state of origin. It's not Australia, let's go touring around the country origin. It's focus on state versus state.
I think.
Oh, sorry, Zach, you go for it. No, you go, Zach. I was just going to say
that. I think that you make a mistake when you don't double down on your strengths, and the strengths of rugby league are the heartland states of Queensland, New South Wales, and that's what this whole rivalry and this whole centerpiece is built upon. So, like I said, you double down on your strengths. So you keep all that in New South Wales and Queensland. The 2 fastest growing states in Australia are New South Wales and Queensland. Queensland, by an absolute country mile, is flogging everybody at the moment. So if you're concerned about bums on seats, continue pouring money into Heartland because that's your Heartland. You don't see in many ways, the AFL taking their centrepiece games away from the MCG. They play the grand final at the MCG. They're not taking it to the Gabba or taking it to Subiaco or taking it down to Tassie or wherever the case may be. So, again, yeah, we're all in alignment on that, I think. And particularly Adelaide, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You take first grade games there for sure. Incentivise teams to take first grade games to give them a taste. Same with Perth. Give areas a taste of first grade games. No worries, you've got heaps to choose from. But yeah, everything, as you guys said, that is built upon this institution for the last 43 years has been the history, the rivalry, and it's a duality. It's like it sounds a bit existential, but it's yin versus yang. It's like there's only two.
Yep.
It's New South Wales or your Queensland. You pick a side. Well, you don't pick a side. You are what your origin is, but they're your only options. This is not a league. This is not a conference. This is not multiple teams. This is not share it around. It's just, this is what it is. It's black versus white. It's right versus wrong. It's whatever the case may be. And that's the magic in it.
There is literally nothing like it in the world. Nothing like it. You cannot think anything like it. Like, people can sit there and say, you have...
Oh, NFC versus AFC.
Yeah.
Nah, nowhere near it. Oh, you're being funny.
Eastern Conference versus Western Conference All-Stars. Come on, mate.
God,
Oh,
that's a travesty of a game.
Deep rivalry.
Let's not talk about the NBA today, please. Let's not.
Yeah, I know. Oh, well.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole thing behind it, I think when you've got Queensland and New South Wales supporters, the one thing we can agree on is that this game should not be in Adelaide. I think there would be a very small margin, which would probably live in Adelaide, that actually want the game in Adelaide. So I'm saying nah. They've got to stop this.
Yeah,
but they won't. Highest bidder
where
gets
the money
it.
is. Where the money is.
Yeah, that's it. And V'landys loves it too.
Yeah, sucked into them
pushing to Vegas and all that sort of stuff.
Adelaide, the Adelaide government's going to probably lose a bit of money. Well, they're always going to make money out of it because it's always going to, hotels are going to sell out. People are flying there for the game. This is the most bogus thing. So there's people going to Adelaide for the game. So
Qantas is making money.
Anyway, it is what it is.
Speaking of sellouts and things that people don't like, Navy jersey. Now,
it's 2 against 1 here, boys.
I know it is. So I'm going to go. But
I'm on your team.
You're on me.
Yeah,
I thought you were with Zach.
No, it's 2v1 as I found out this evening.
Burks versus the Burks.
Now the boys know, but I'll throw it out in the airwaves what my stance is on it, and they're entitled to their incorrect opinion, as everybody is. For me, there's a couple of things that are sacred. The maroon of Queensland, the sky blue of New South Wales, the double gold chevron on green of Australia. That, to me, I think, to a certain degree, should remain the same, and for no other reason other than boring old tradition. And I know there's been a couple of variations in the past, and I don't have a problem with modernising the jersey. I'm wearing the current sky blue one with the big red wanker sign on the front of it right now. But for me, when I think of the Blues, I think sky blue. I know that there is bits and pieces of navy over the years, but for me, it's sky blue. And to me, it's a big marketing gimmick. I don't know whether it's Dave Trodden at New South Wales Rugby League. I don't know if it's a Brandy and Fittler thing. I don't know what the case is. New South Wales seem to be the only side that likes to play around with this merchandise sort of stuff. Mess with team jerseys all you want. Make a new one every year so that you keep the merchandise sales up, whatever you want. But for me, given the history of this game and given what it is, I would like to see core colours and see them maintain. That's my piece. Now, you blokes explain to me why you're incorrect.
Now, my thoughts are, I agree with you. I just like the jersey. That's all I'm saying. I 100% agree with you, and I think that tradition is important. The idea of this away jersey, it doesn't really sit well with me, but the jersey itself is awesome. Like, I love it. I saw it and I was like, that is sick. The jersey you're wearing now, to me, I think last year's jersey was the best Blues jersey we've ever produced. I thought it was perfect.
I'm pretty certain the one you're wearing is the best Blues jersey.
Well, obviously that. I always hated this crap, so the arms and stuff like that. Like the current crop of jerseys we've got, I think that last year's one was perfect. That whole line across the front and that huge red. Yes, they're our sponsor, so thank you, Westpac. But still, it didn't do it for me. And the second I saw it, I didn't like it. But that navy jersey is mwah, it is perfection. I do agree with you, Zach. I do think that tradition is important. The one thing that got me riled up was I was watching Gus Gould and the 100% footy, which I don't mind those guys. And I hate the term, oh, do you think Queensland would do that? We're not fucking Queensland. So let's fucking do it.
Yeah.
Fuck, Queensland would never do that. Good. Then let's do it.
I nearly said that.
Yeah. That's
glad
the
I didn't
thing.
now.
Yeah, that's it. It's just like I always hate that term of, oh, Queensland would never do that. Well, we're not fucking Queensland. So why don't we do it? But then I also agree with yours. So I'm kind of a bit of a chameleon when it comes to this subject. I love the jersey, and I've already said to myself, if we win tomorrow night, which is an if, it's going to be a really close game. I'm getting that jersey because I love it. But
look, before Toby has his say, I'll agree with you as well, Freya and Oliver, and should say that aesthetically, it's lovely. I actually really like this collar combo, whatever's going on.
I love that collar combo. Yeah, that's awesome.
I tell you, as a fitting jersey, it's one of the best fitting jerseys I've ever had. I love the Puma for some reason. I love this new New South Wales logo that we had from maybe last year.
Yeah, it's really good.
I love the imagery. I love the simplistic nature of it. I love the tone of the sky blue. And the navy is obviously just the inverse of it. So I do like the simplicity of it. Aesthetically, I can appreciate it, but I guess, I'm just in camp sky blue.
Yeah.
Toby?
I just like going against whatever you say, Zach. That's primarily it.
Normally you go against whatever I say, so this is really good.
Yeah,
it's a conundrum.
You're not on the pod every week, so I've got to go against. We got to have opposing opinions on this pod.
Yeah,
got to make it interesting. Got to make it a discussion. No, honestly, I'm probably in the same camp as Todd. I just think it looks really good, and I'm probably not as tied to tradition as you guys are. If you say that you love the chevron, the yellow chevrons and all that, you must have hated the 08 centenary jersey for Australia, Zach. So,
well, no, funnily enough, because that actually had a throwback, I really loved that too. I think just
nice jersey.
Yeah, it was a nice jersey. I would actually prefer that we play in that in some ways because it does represent the New South Wales, Queensland. That's a conundrum, but I did like that one too as well. But,
yeah. The only thing that I'll add to this is talking about it. So this jersey thing has exploded in the last couple of days. Do you guys remember? So 2019, we also wore an alternate strip in Perth. Again, beautiful jersey. That lovely blue sky blue chevron over the navy. I don't remember anyone saying anything about it. I don't remember it being a thing. It's this year that's blown up. Thoughts were, I remember so in that series, that was the game where Fittler made tons of changes. So I guess maybe they were more focused on that than they were the jersey. Where now this jersey thing has erupted, like, oh, I can't believe they're doing it. I'm like, well, we did it, and you never had a problem with it before. Why have you got a problem with it now, kind of thing? So yeah, you guys might know more than me that there was a bit of an uproar.
I think there was, yeah. I think I vividly remember that there wasn't to this degree, but I think it was the nature of the jerseys as well. The chevron's a rugby league thing. We love just about any jersey with a chevron on it. These ones that I'm wearing there now, they're almost a block. You've got your two strips around the center that are very small. And so the color is the color. And those chevrons were double and they were quite thick. So maybe that mitigated it a little bit. There was definitely a bit of talk around it. But yeah, you're right. Not to the same degree for sure. But yeah, maybe that's got a bit to play into it. The fact that these jerseys now are almost a singular block color. So that's what you really see.
Yeah, maybe that's definitely because the sky blue just goes across the lines that you've got on yours. So the dark blue on yours, or the sky blue, that's the only representation of it, really. So that's possibly why. But yeah.
Anyway, like many people have also said, if the Blues don't get the job done tomorrow night, it won't be based upon the tone of blue they're wearing.
No, exactly right. Exactly.
Well, it's probably high time, considering we've been going for good near on half an hour plus at this stage, that we probably start talking about the Origin game, because we've also got a West Tigers game to briefly preview after that as well. So We don't want to be here until midnight. Well, we could be, I guess, but I'm sure the listeners don't have that much spare time up their sleeve. So allow me to run through the sides really, really quickly, and then we'll get to talking about the big issues around that. 8:05 p.m. tomorrow night, local time, Eastern Standard Time. So I'm assuming it's going to kick off a little bit earlier in Adelaide. What are they, half an hour, are they?
It will most likely
I think so. Yeah.
It will most likely be tonight by the time this goes up too, Zach. So don't let people just wait until Thursday to watch the Origin.
Yes, good point. Tonight. Apologies. Not as sharp as Toby on the tech stuff. Yeah. All right, so I'm just going to run through. I'm going to run through respective sides, position at a time. So we've got Tedesco at fullback for New South Wales, Toto and Adokar on the wings, Stephen Crichton replacing Latrell Mitchell with Turbo in the centres, Luai and Cleary as the halves for the Blues, Tavita Pangai Jr. somehow, he's playing prop for New South Wales. We've got Apisai Coruscant, Payne Haas, that completes the front row. Frizzell and Hudson Young are listed as the starting back rowers with Isaiah Yeo locking the scrum. Junior Paulo, Cameron Murray, Liam Martin and Nicholas Hines are the bench for the Blues, with Matt Burton flown in as the 18th man and our very own Steph Uta Ikamanu as the 19th. The big fella, good on him. Queensland reads as follows: Reece Walsh at fullback, Selwyn Cobbo and Murray Tuolangi on the wings, Valentine Holmes, Hamaso Tabi Waifito in the centres. Got Jerry Evans and Munster in the halves. Thomas Flegler and Lindsay Collins are the props for Queensland, with Ben Hunt there at hooker. David Fafita, Tommy Gilbert at the second row, and Patrick Carrigan locks their scrum. They've got Harry Grant, Tino, Fasua Maliawi, Ruben Cotter, Jai Arrow is their bench. Tom Dearden at 18, and their 19th man is Christian Wealth. Wealth. I nearly the very last name.
Probably quite rich, so yeah.
Christian Welch is number 19 for Queensland, and Slater and Fittler, obviously the coaches, respectively. So, several things to talk about. We'll probably get into the more generics in a little bit, but boys, the big one, Latrell Mitchell. Is it going to hurt?
That's a big out. Big out.
Big out. Look, he's not being replaced by slouch by any means. Crichton is a fantastic player, but
starting centre, game 2 and 3 last year.
He shit the bed big time. I could not tell you a moment in that series where he really took his club form to that game. He was very out on his feet a few times. Like, he just looked a bit lost. So that is concerning. Latrell's form has been incredible. I had a thought last week where, that Queensland side is good, and we'll get into them, I'm guessing, at some point. They're a really good side. But I just thought they can't compete with us. Like, Latrell's going to tear these guys apart. He's going to him, and then you've got Fox, you've got Turbo. Now I'm kind of like, Crichton. If he goes off, like, we can see him, like, defensively, he's got an amazing hit on him. Occasionally he has that read where he just jams in on the wrong player, which concerns me. But yeah, he was kind of lost in those games 2 and 3 last year. He was a non-factor in the flogging in game 2. Like, he almost cost us a try because he fumbled it, but we recovered from that. So yeah, it's a huge, huge loss.
Toby?
He was marking up against Val Holmes. We saw what Todd did as soon as.
Latrell Mitchell is no stuff. Latrell Mitchell is no stuff at Todd. Let's be honest.
That is exactly
true.
Right.
That is true. But he could probably do a similar job. Maybe not to the same degree, but he could probably do a similar job. No, but let's call a spade a spade. As soon as we both saw that, probably as soon as we all saw that, we were both sitting there going, "Oh, this is going to be a hammering," because he's like, Val Holmes is ridiculously out of form, and to be manhandled like that.
That's wood.
It's Origin, mate. You don't even know what happens. But yeah,
they didn't pick Gagai. That was the one that I was concerned about. If he joined, he takes it to another level when he's on in a Queensland jersey. So, but yeah, just having that matchup definitely excited me, and it was definitely a lot of confidence from that. But yeah, that out, and like you said, Crichton, he hasn't switched it on when it comes at Origin level. Like,
he's only young. But
at the same time, he hasn't really turned it on for Penrith this year either. That's the thing.
To be fair,
other than the game against the Rabbits, he nearly single-handedly beat them.
Yeah. I've had a few games where I've been pretty impressed with him, and had Fox been out, I anticipated he would have been the other wing, which I wouldn't have disliked. But
I'd much prefer him on a wing.
Yeah,
personally, I don't think he's got the game breaking or the tackle breaking ability to play centre. I think he's a phenomenal athlete and a good leaper, and he can jam in, as you said, and hit. But when you look at Turbo and Latrell in the centres, they're people that can obliterate defences and just create shit in front of them. I don't see Crichton doing that. So
no.
I think he's going to have to rely on his club connections with the halves a bit more to be able to capitalise on those things. Look, he's due a good game. He played off the bench hardly at all in game 1 last year, and game 2 and 3, as you said, he was rather underwhelming. So fourth Origin, he's due a decent one. So let's hope he steps up. Good player, dual premiership winner. He can do the job. So
yeah, that's it. As I said, they're not replacing him with the slouch, but it's no Latrell. That was, hearing that news, that was a huge loss for us. And you kind of thought, nah, they've got this wrong. It's not. But also, you kind of like, well, Calf, because he was set to be named for the Rabbitohs this week, but they've not named him. But if that Calf goes in the first 10 minutes, we're fucked. Like, we're down and outside back. You got to play Nico Hines at left centre, which he could do, but he's not real. They'll just send them at him all day. Like, he'll be tackling friggin' Gilbert and whoever's going to be on the right, which you said was Holmes all day. So yeah, it's a big loss, but I don't think it's game defining. Someone said to me today, man, we have focused so much on centres this Origin, like on both sides. It's just been focused on centres, and I'm like, well, centres don't normally win your games. Like, it's not a be all and end all. Plus, if Tommy Turbo goes skits, which we know he can, he did that with White and just playing that safe left centre in that game 2 and 3 of 2019. Like, he can do the job. But yeah, it is still devastating. I love Latrell. I'm a huge Latrell fan. Yeah, so, but fingers crossed.
If Turbo is back to his best following that cracker game he had that got him into the team, jettisoned him straight into the team. If he's going to bring his best to the Blues like he did a couple of years back, he's not doing it playing a centre role. Essentially, he plays as a second fullback.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why centres often don't. But in these types of all-star style games, they can have the capacity to do it. You think back to like Meninga and Miles. You think back to the centre pairing for the Blues, like through the 90s when you had had Daly in there. And
what about Gasnier and Cooper?
Gasnier and Cooper, yeah, exactly right, same thing. So at this level, I think centres can make a big difference if they are that top elite echelon. And just Turbo and Latrell, their history together playing in those two positions as a combo, even though they play opposite sides of the field, obviously, but having Turbo that ability to sort of float and drift and chime in both sides. They're just irresistible players. They're generational players. And I think it's more the fact, let's be honest, we're not talking about centres, we're talking about two fullbacks playing in centre. And so they're bringing fullback style games and game breaking style games to that particular position. So that's why we probably don't talk about it so much in clubland. But look, it's an Origin. It's going to be won and lost in the forwards, I guess, ultimately, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where you kind of say Queensland probably have the advantage at this, before a ball's kicked.
I would easily go against you on that one.
You think they don't?
No, not at all. I don't agree with the TPJ sort of selection.
Why do you think he was picked up? TPJ.
Probably to get a bit of mongrel in there, I guess. I don't know. I don't think form alone got it in there. But you have a look at their front row who they're up against. I personally do not rate Flegler. And for an NRL player, let's just say that he would run stamps over 80% of the population that tried to play rugby league. Guaranteed. But as an NRL player, I don't rate him that highly. And I think Lindsay Collins is shockingly out of form. I think that Dave Fafita definitely has found form again when foreigners come into that into the Titan side. But Tom Gilbert, he's a lock. He's not much of an edge back row. He's playing lock for the Dolphins at the moment. I honestly think that their starting forward pack is a good 3 levels below ours. So
you've got me convinced.
I think they're very different. I think they learned a lesson from game 3 last year, where the talk was that we got bullied and got beaten off the park. I don't think that TPJ, Haas, Hudson Young, Junior Barlow will allow that to happen. That simply won't happen. But I think what we've actually picked is a side that's going to beat them from the 50-minute mark to the 70-minute mark. I think when you've got Cam Murray, Isaiah Yeo, Hudson Young, Liam Martin, quick feet, and then you've got Nico Hines who can do anything off the bench. I think we're going to actually, it's going to be a lot of bash early stages. And I think that we're going to go toe for toe with them, because their side, their forward pack is a good forward pack, but they're all bash them up forwards, all of them. Legler, Collins, even Fafita, Gilbert, Carrigan, they race out of the line, put a big hit on. These guys aren't gigantic meter eaters. They're not late footwork. They're not quick play the ball boys. They're not big minutes boys. They're all very similar, I reckon. To your point, Toby, that Gilbert's playing lock, so he's playing as another middle. So in that starting lineup alone, you've got Collins, Flegler, and Gilbert, who are essentially playing very, very similar roles, which is just that big man up front, crash, bang, wallop. And I think that we've actually got a phase 2. And I think that phase 2 is going to be when Appy comes back on after a stint at some point, whether it's Luai going in or Hines going in to give him a small spell. When he comes back on, we'll get the likes of Yeo, Young, Murray, and Martin just tearing him to shreds up the middle when they start getting tired. I think that's where the game's going to be won. I can see us scoring 2 or 3 tries in that 50 to 70-minute mark.
Yeah, nice. I like that.
I won't be disappointed with that.
Absolutely. The big commentary around Cam Murray starting on an edge, I thought that was bogus. Mal Meninga showed how you use Cam Murray in rep games in the Australian tournament. He comes off the bench. You have to have him in the middle. When the forward pack's getting tired, a bit of indecision in the middle, and he gets straight through with those quick play the balls and all that sort of stuff. So he showed us how to use him. I personally think, bar the 2021 series where he was sensational on the right, but he's wasted on an edge. He needs to be in the middle. So you basically would move Yo to prop or a prop, which is not really what he plays. And Murray goes into that lock role and just, creates that quick momentum, those quick play the balls. And then Liam Martin off the bench, that's also caused a few sort of, I don't really know what he's doing there off the bench if he's not starting. Him coming off for Penrith at the moment after that hamstring industry, he's been like a man on a mission. He is killing people. He is built for Origin, but I don't believe he's built to start Origin because he doesn't offer that much on the right. Frizzell, he's safe. He knows the game. He's tough. He's fast, and he can create pretty fast. Where Martin's just he would fit well into the Queensland side because he's just that kind of player. He wants to bash, and he wants to tackle. He wants to hit hard. So the bench is where.
And his quick feed is over the advantage line. He's between that A and B defender off a quick hooker pass. It's funny that what you're talking about, I agree 100%. He's actually number 16, and his other number 16 on the opposite side is Ruben Cotter. I actually reckon they're
similar
both
players.
I reckon they're both quick feet, small props.
Yeah, that's it.
If I sign Liam Martin, I'd play him as a quick foot, small prop because he's dynamic, his leg drive, quick play the balls, big motor, all that sort of stuff as well. So I think they're going to be used. Actually, he may be used as a middle if we've got that, but we do have a handful of middles there, so he can play on an edge, but he is versatile. So
I think he'll be used as a prop for sure. He'll go into the prop role and just start, which he's basically been doing for Penrith anyway. And that's it. There are traditionally we've seen quite big forward packs for game one, Queensland and New South Wales. These are 2 pretty small forward packs in terms of bench interaction. Like you got Tino for Queensland, Cotter and Jai Arrow. So all guys that can play on the edge can play in the middle, and we've got Junior Polo, Liam Martin,
Murray, Hines,
yeah. So
you're right.
It's a really interesting because generally in game one we want the big boppers. We want to try and get that domination through the aggression and all that stuff. Where both sides have kind of gone for a smaller forward pack, which is hopefully
at least off the bench, right?
Absolutely, yeah. The starting props and stuff, they're always going to be big boys. To go to the TPJ thing, it's very polarizing from Freddie. but also I kind of get it, if you know what I mean. I've watched a few Dogs games, and even when they've been kind of towed, he's easily been the best forward for them on the park. And he seems more calm than he's ever been. Like his offloads are very timed well. And, he just looks like he's in every game, and he's in it to fight. He's in it to scrap. He's in it to get those quick play the balls. But also his aggression has been contained. Obviously tomorrow night, maybe we won't get the same thing. I actually think that him and Flegler kind of cancel each other out with their wild card status. Like, we don't know what we're going to get with those two. Like Flegler, he cost Brisbane a game a couple of weeks ago when he flung out an arm to a guy running to tackle the kicker. Like, it was just dumb plays like that. And he loves the rough stuff. So yeah, they kind of cancel each other out. If we get a TPJ that's just going to hit hard, go in aggressive, but maintain it, not start getting up and throwing shit, and also be smart with his offloads if he does any at all. He's got ball players all around him. He doesn't need to play that game. He just needs to get over the advantage line, get those quick play the balls. And then we've got Payne Haas, who is the best forward in the game and probably potentially the best forward we'll ever see. Like, so yeah, I'm not unhappy with the decision. So I know guys that could have been there instead, but I'm not unhappy with it.
Toby, Luai over Hines. How do you think the two will be used? Do you agree with that selection? And how do you think it'll play out?
Is that to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think very much what the reports say. I think that he will, when Hines comes on, Luai will shift to hooker. Appy will get a spell. He did it. What did you say? 2021 is when he did it, Todd?
Yeah. So towards the end of the second game, Jack Whiten came into 6, and Luai went to hooker. And he's obviously not there to create anything. He's just there to
shuffle the ball.
That's it.
I think that's what will happen, and very much like you said, Zach. I think it'll happen probably closer to the end of the first half, and then he'll start the second half, and then Appy will come on to, I guess, close it out. But look, I'm not should Hines have been picked over Luai based on form? Yes, Hines is in better form than Luai, but at the same time, Cleary is out and out the best halfback in the game right now, and he works the best with, like, you saw what he produces for Penrith compared to what he produces for Australia, when he had arguably the best player in the game at the moment in Cameron Munster. Didn't have the same dynamic. When he's with Luai, they know what each other's doing. So I think you need that at Origin level. You need that synchronization. Like, you think about when
you're making a pro combinations argument at Origin level, which is pretty undeniable at this stage, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think Luai doesn't deserve to be there. That's the way I'm thinking of it. The biggest thing I want is to have a plan to use Hines. He's not there to cover an injury. He's there to be used because we need him. He's potentially can break the game open with his skills. Like, he's such a great player. So yeah, if he was there just to go, in case a hooker goes down or a 6 or a 7 goes down, nah, he needs to be out there. So yeah, and also don't chuck him in to win the game. Like, chuck him in tactically to.
I agree. I hate that. I hate 13 minutes to go and win us the game. I think that's rubbish. I think you need to be looking to win the game 30, 40 minutes out.
Absolutely.
Not last minute. Yeah. Hey, let's change tack to the enemy for a little bit. Let's have a look at the Queensland side. We've already gone.
Can I quickly go for a break, boys? Just a bathroom break. I'll be back in 2 seconds.
Not a worry at all. Toby, you can obviously make a start on it, mate. If we're just talking Queensland and their threats, obviously, they're a gun side across the board. What, if you're writing up a game plan, what are you looking for? Keep it at 1 or 2 sort of points. What are the things at the top of your list?
Mine is, first and foremost, we need to limit the time that Reece Walsh has. I think if Reece Walsh...
How do you do that? Do you find grass or do you kick high?
I'm thinking more of when he's got the ball in attack. If he's given time and he has a bit of a think about what he needs to do, he tends to choose the right option. So when he's
rush and jam him.
Yeah, when he's that sweet player, we rush and we jam. When it comes to, I guess, the kick returns, I think grass. don't give him the opportunity to run the ball back. Give him the opportunity to pick it up and then come from a standing start.
Yeah,
I think he can definitely be their X factor. I think they'll probably use Hammer a very similar way that we might use Turbo, in that he'll be another fullback as well, just a roamer. But yeah, just for me, like, if you can limit his time, we know what Munster can do. We know how we need to shut him down for them to just continue to get momentum.
Sorry, boys.
Getting momentum.
you're right, mate.
But yeah, it's just, Reece Walsh for me is the first person, because he can be so dynamic if he's given time. And he's been craving to get this Origin jersey since he broke into NRL. So he's going to do everything he can to keep it. So,
but Todd, we're just talking about not necessarily the major threats in the side. Queensland have got threats across the park. It's Origin, for goodness sake. But if we're making a hit list of a game plan shot list, what is your strategy top of that list? What are we trying to make sure that we're doing in terms of Queensland? What are we trying to target?
I love the kick early in Origin, and I think we're targeting down Cobbo's wing. Try and tire him out, because fantastic player, and his work rate has increased this year, and he has done really well with it. But he still has those moments where he just gets a bit. I don't want to say the word lazy, because he's not lazy. He's gassed because he's just been, thrown around a bit. And Toby just said you can't be giving Reece Walsh time, because I don't doubt he's going to come out and have a blinder. And I think the Hello Sport guys, they say traditionally these Queenslanders, they seem to have better debut games than we do. They seem to just come out and they're so fired up and they're ready
Justin
to go.
Hodges.
And yeah, what was that? Sorry,
Justin Hodges.
Yeah, well, that's just one, but traditionally, you've really got to give him limited time, and he's going to go straight through the middle when he gets his opportunity. So you've got to shut that down fast. And then there's always Munster. Like, he's a freak. He's going to have the hammer outside him with feeder. So he's going to be feeding them hardcore. I don't know if you believe Bellamy, but apparently he's carrying a rib injury. So you've got to kind of give him a few good shots and throw him off a little bit. But with that guy, you just don't know what you're going to get. He can just change a game. He's just a freak. So yeah, those are my hit list. And obviously Paddy Carrigan, he's a great player, really, really good footballer, but he doesn't offer that playmaking ability. So him starting at lock, or even if Cotter swaps with him, you know what you're going to get with Queensland. It's going to be a rough and tumble. We're just going to grind this thing out and just, bash you, because they don't really have that playmaking ability. So yeah, I think your biggest threats or your biggest tactics are just to pin Cobbo and Walsh in their area, hit them hard, and just try and throw Munster off, even though it's virtually impossible. So yeah. And then we don't even talk about our little mate Harry Grant when he comes on the field. Oh God, my heart sinks. And not to take anything away from Ben Hunt, he's been killing it. But man, that bloke, he can play. He's a great footballer,
especially at that time of the game in this arena. As the game says, fatigue's fallen in, and he comes on fresh as a daisy, and he just mesmerizes people.
Yeah,
I agree with all of that. I think there's a number of ways that we can approach how we tackle these guys, not in a literal sense, in a metaphorical sense. I think, as Toby said, limiting Reece Walsh's time, both in kicking game and attack, is an important one. If he's doing much playmaking on sweeps, you need to absolutely shut him down. Not so much that he's a threat, but I think he's going to be prone to making mistakes. And the thing about making mistakes is, in NRL games, there's a lot of payoff. You might drop 3 balls, but then set up 3 tries, and that's a huge trade. You make that every day of the week. In Origin, you don't get the 3 tries on the backside of that. You make 3 mistakes, it could cost you 3 tries. So I think that the mistakes can hurt a lot more in Origin, and I think that we can try to our very best to force his hand in that regard. I think Cobbo, and I touch wood here, not in attack, he's a brilliant player. I think under the high ball, he's the person I'm targeting. I just think that he can have that propensity to, as you were saying, get gas. I don't know the fitness is quite there, and I don't know that it's not laziness. I don't think it's fitness. I think it's just mature aerobic capacities. I think as he gets older, his cardiovascular endurance will improve, but I think he's still a pup. And I think as a big bloke, who's probably still carrying a bit of puppy fat on him, I think if you can constantly turn him around, and every high ball goes to him constantly, get his work rate up, you neutralise that threat in a lot of ways. In terms of the Harry Grant stuff, I think that happens through the forwards. I think if we can meet Queensland halfway and match them for 25 minutes early, I think we negate most of the forward pack. I don't think this is the type of game, personally, that you go out and take their A predator out. I don't think if you go and take Patrick Carrigan out, that it's going to hurt them all that much, because they've got several in a similar mould. Whereas other games, you might have looked at it, and that's a great way to go. You play Jared Warrior-Hargraves for the Roosters. You play James Fisher-Harris for the Panthers. That's a good play in those situations, but not in this. Not in this, in my eyes. So I think if we can match it for 25 minutes, and then, as I was talking about before, we look at playing through the centre, fast, quick play the balls, we get our small middles on. By the time Harry gets on, if we can be just wearing down their forward pack, we're going to go a long way to negating his impact. If they start to, or if they're able to maintain forward dominance over the majority of the game, that's when we're going to get into trouble with Harry Grant. So I think wearing those tired forwards out early, turning him around a lot. I think one of you mentioned early kicks. I think that's a great idea. I don't think the likes of Flegler, Collins, Fafita, Gilbert, Carrigan probably, but I don't think those first four that I mentioned have terrific aerobic capacities, particularly in that arena. So just make them work. Wear them out and try to get ahead of the game to negate Harry Grant later in the game. So, interesting. There's a few options there and ways you could go about it, but obviously the Brains Trust are going to have their approach.
The one of the boys at Touch tonight, he actually made a comment, and he said, "You know what you're going to get from New South Wales for that first 20 minutes. It's going to be based on who they've picked, based on what we've got. It's going to be all systems go. It's going to be aggressive. It's going to be fast. It's going to be in their face." He said, "It's up to Queensland how they're going to turn up, what they're going to do. But if we start that way and we continue it, there's not much they can do. They can try and match it with us, and they might be able to. But then we've got those game breakers, those turbos. I love the idea of Turbo sweeping and a high ball to Cobbo, and he just jumps over the top of him. His confidence will be shot. He knows this guy's going to constantly be breathing down his neck. And also, for that matter, Crichton's amazing under the high ball. I was going to say
Crichton, yeah. And even those 2/3 kicks, the ones that land a metre or two to the right of the upright instead of going to the corner, they're Crichton specials. The centres are coming in on the angle. They're prime for the jump position. I could see them tossing up a couple of them for him, whether he's jumping over the likes of a Gilbert or a Cherry Evans or a Munster or someone like that.
Yeah. The other one we haven't really discussed as potentially a weakness for them is Murray Tuolangi. He was a surprise pick for me. I said, a centre pairing with a wing pairing of Gagai and the Hammer, with Gagai playing wing, which I think is his natural origin position, was much more terrifying than this guy, Touchwood, that's out of form. He did nothing against us. I don't remember him being on the field. Paul Felt had a shocker that night, but he didn't do anything to negate what was happening. He was a surprise selection for me. So maybe the stats I haven't seen, he might be a bit of a meter eater that I haven't seen before. That might be where he keeps the jersey from. But yeah, I honestly don't know what he's done to deserve that jersey. But again, he might prove me wrong tomorrow night. But yeah.
Yeah, very good. Righto. Well, we better get to maybe a prediction or two, a scoreline prediction, maybe a man of the match prediction as well while we're at it. We'll jump into a quick Tigers preview because we are pushing on, but good, interesting show. Loving what we're doing here. But before we do you boys have any other thoughts you want to mention before we look at predictions? We've covered it all.
No,
I'm good.
Good to go, Rodio. Toby, scoreline for me, man of the match.
New South Wales 24, Queensland 12. Man of the match is Teddy.
Ooh, me lucky.
Who you got, Todd?
No, you don't. You don't like Tedesco anymore.
No, I hate him, but I like he's been terrible. So that's a really nice prediction. I'm going to go traditionally close affairs, but we don't really win close affairs. I'm going to go New South Wales 32, Queensland 16. Payne Haas, man of the match.
Mm.
That one.
Ah, very good. What did you say? What was the score?
32-16.
32-16. All right. I'm going to say 22-16. And I'm going to say
my heart can't handle that, mate.
I know, and I'm going to say Turbo's going to come back in a big way, and he's going to have 2 try assists and a try himself.
Yeah, love it. Love it.
Beautiful.
Look, either way that turns out, I think we're all happy with those predictions.
Yeah, well, none of us are going to pick Queensland.
Yeah,
no way. Very good. Right. Well, following that, 2 days later, on Friday, the 2nd of June, there will be another match, which we're all very passionate about. The mighty West Tigers, undefeated for the last 2 weeks, coming off an absolutely monumental thumping of last year's preliminary finalists, 66-18, if you please. We are at home, Campbelltown, on Friday, and the only game on Friday at 8 p.m. And we play the Canberra Raiders up the milk, apparently, whatever that means. Sides have been named. A couple of interesting ones. We won't go into a full-length one. Obviously, we don't have the time for that this eve, unfortunately. But a couple of interesting selections or non-selections. We've got Brent Naden named in the extended squad, but not straight in for Talau. So Tommy Talau holds his spot there. Obviously, Joe Offahangawi has moved on to Parramatta and played a full 10 minutes before he tore his calf. Sucked in Parramatta. As much as we love Joffa, we do love Joffa. I wish he was back, but replaced, unfortunately, by Alex Seyfarth.
And then I didn't see that.
The interesting one on the extended bench is young Talon De Silva, 18-year-old, yet to play knock-on effect cup. Probably our biggest gun up-and-coming juniors. Premiership winning SG Ball player, scored a try on debut in Flegg several weeks ago. Robbie Farah incarnate. And we mean it this time, not the Luke Brooks, Andrew John stuff. So he's on the extended bench in number 22.
I was going to ask what position he plays. So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, he's a hooker, Talon De Silva. So, interesting one. What are we thinking about Canberra this week, boys?
I'm worried.
Yeah.
Remember, we don't have a very good record against Canberra. I don't think Canberra have scored less than 30 points against us in the last 6 meetings.
Yeah. So, and they're not out of form. Like, they've got pretty much a full strength side. The resting Jared Croker thing was a bit of a slap in the face, to be honest. And just go, and that should be a motivation for the boys to go, well, they think they're going to roll you without this bloke to get his 300th game in Canberra. But Canberra are a very, very good side. They'll be down a few troops. Obviously, Elliot Whitehead's out suspended, and Harawira Naira after that horribleness from last Saturday night, which was awful. He'll be out. Hudson Young potentially backing up. I wouldn't think he would. They've got enough forward depth to cover that. Yeah, I mean, if we can take what we did, the bye almost came at a really unfortunate time, really. I would have loved to have played last week and smacked some team again. Yeah, it's not a great record against them, but if we can play like we did against the Cowboys, we definitely will match it with them. We've just got to...
Interestingly enough, Sebastian Chris came off during that game, and Rapana also came off with a HIA. So I don't know what doubt those two blokes are in. I know Chris tried to play on with an ankle, I think, or a knee, and he couldn't. He succumbed to that.
Xavier Savage would go straight in. And then
you got then you got Rapana there as well, who I don't know what the go is with the concussion protocol.
Well, he got named, so you'd think he's okay.
I don't think he was a category 1. So
yeah, you would think so. You got Harley Smith Shields there, who's a winger, and Xavier Savage is cover for fullback, obviously, as well. Interestingly, their bench has both Tom Starling and Matt Frawley on it.
Yeah, that one's strange.
I saw that.
The world's smallest hooker and a washed-up former Canterbury halfback on their bench.
It's an interesting one. Surely there's going to be some shuffles before kickoff. There's got to be. They can't play with that team.
Unless, Whiten's carrying or Fogarty's carrying something that potentially could shift Frawley into the halves.
Helps us.
Yeah,
let's make that. Let's make that happen.
They might look at Whiten to fullback, and then falling into the halves as well is another option for them. Whiten's played a lot of fullback.
Yep.
Yeah, for us, the only thing that really stands out is I'd want Naden straight back in for Tommy Talau. I almost think move Tommy Talau on to Manly now if they want him, and we can free up a spot and try and chase someone else. And Naden was playing really well until his brain snap against Penrith, but that's, neither here nor there. Yeah, I mean, it's a hard one. Canberra's a good side. They've been playing really well. If we can bring that form from that Cowboys game, I mean, who could stop us, really? There's not too many teams that be able to compete at that level, but I'd say we'll be down Appy. I don't know too many hookers that can back up Origin 2 nights later, and he potentially will play 90 minutes at Origin. We don't know his full role with them yet. So, yeah, live in hope.
Yeah, look, I'd say he'd play. There's a lot of talk always that playing sooner rather than later for Origin is what the players actually prefer. So they talk a lot about as well. And Golden Point aside, I don't think that he'll play the full game in Origin. So we'll have to wait and see. He may have a diminished role on the Friday. We obviously need him. We'd like him to play. Be happy to see him play off the bench. Yeah. I think Canberra's form has come off the back of their forward pack. Josh Papali'i on the weekend was enormous. Corey Horsburgh has hit top form. And we know how quality Tarpanay is, and Hudson Young's earned himself an Origin spot. So their forward pack, for a side who had a pretty busted start to the year, not unlike us in some ways, is their strength as well. So in some ways, they're a side that's set up very similar to us, albeit a little bit more class in the halves, maybe.
Absolutely. But yeah, I'm hopeful. I think we can do something, but we've discussed that Canberra are in form. They're playing good football. Their forward pack is massive, so we have to match it with them. I don't like Seafarth in. We've discussed him, the Kyle Lovett of the current era. Like, I don't know why he's getting picked. There is a lot more younger props that, Matamua could have come in, a few other, players that should be there. But anyway.
Yeah, I don't see how Asatasi James doesn't get a look in before him, but that's me.
We've been saying that for years, for about a year. Asatasi, his name's actually Atasi. I don't know if it's changed, because I went and checked this last year and it was written as Asatasi, but it's now everywhere online is Atasi, so it's Atasi or Itasi, yeah. Just on Atasi James. I watched him closely in the Magpies game on the weekend, and as much as his forward runs are awesome and he bends the line, his motor is horrible, and some of his defense is disgusting. He cannot play first grade yet.
Okay.
He simply cannot play first grade. So, obviously he's there and thereabouts, and maybe in a side full of better players around him. And I hope that he's continuing to trend upwards, because I think he's got a lot as a prop. I think he's going to be a good backup prop option for us. But yeah, I'd have very, very big concerns. So much so that I'd much rather have Alex Seafarth in my defensive line than Atasi James. 100%. Not in attack, but yeah. Anyway. Right, well, let's get into a prediction on this. This is coming down to a coin flip, and funnily enough, Sportsbet, that just gives us shit constantly on the socials. The Tigers, poor old Tigers from Sportsbet, have even got us at $2.15 with the Raiders at $1.71. If that happens to be what you enjoy to do, so that's a coin flip in anyone's language. What happens in this game, boys, on Friday? How do you see it playing out? Todd, what do you think?
I'm riding the high for New South Wales win. We go to Campbelltown and we win it by a field goal, 19-18. Done.
Ooh, I reckon that's the bold prediction as well.
Yeah.
There. Who kicks it? Wakey.
I'm going to wake him. It's going to be a fake to the wake, and he gets it over.
Fake to the wake.
Yeah, that's a new one. I'll tell you what, mate, you're a permanent member of this show if you nail that.
Oh, yeah. I get it. I feel like I want to put a bet on it now, but I'm not going to do that. Yeah, so I think it'll be a real tough game. Low scoring. I don't think we'll see the joy that we saw at Leichhardt a week and a half ago. Yeah, I'm going to go 19-18 to us.
All right, sounds good to me. Toby, what do you got for us?
I'm going to think momentum's going to keep going. I honestly think we're going to win this. We're going to win it comfortably, but not as comfortably, obviously. I think it's going to be something along the lines of 28-6.
I love it.
And I think a lot of those points are going to be scored in the first half. I think we'll probably go in the first half, because I did this with the Cowboys prediction and I got pretty good. I think we're going to go in the first half 18-6, and then we'll score 1 try and just defend that lead. And we already know my first bowl prediction. For anyone that doesn't know, I always have this bowl prediction. First thing go is Toby gets over the line. So that's my first bowl prediction. My second bowl prediction is actually going to be, I think Talau will stay in the starting side, and I think he'll get a double.
Ooh,
Tommy
I love it.
Oh, wow. Well, he doesn't pass the football, so
yeah,
he's going to give himself every chance.
That's not hard.
Yeah, nice. All right. Okay, I've got us at 30-16.
Nice.
But I think we have to start the game strong. I think if we don't come out and start the first 20, 30 minutes strong and get ahead on the scoreboard, I think it becomes a big head dropper for us, particularly off the back of the high of a couple of weeks back. I think we can lose momentum pretty quick in that playing group. So I think we need to start strong, and if we do, we can go on to a 30-16 win. David Nofaluma, I would put hundreds of dollars on the fact he's going to score his 100th try.
Yeah,
it's his 100th try for the Tigers. First person to achieve that goal if he gets it, and at Campbelltown as a local West junior as well, so which would be very pleasing. So that's not a very bold prediction, but yeah, I'm going to double that down with saying that Wakeham will have a perfect 5 from 5 record with the boot as well.
He's been cooking kicking really well.
8 from 8 last game he had. We were 11 from 11, so I'm going to say 13 from 13. His streak will keep going, and it'll become a bit of an in joke. The Wakey streak.
The biggest thing we've got to do, we've got to have. It's Campbelltown. It's going to be freezing cold, but we've got to have a full stadium, and we've got to have them loud and proud. And this whole move to have our permanent home games at Campbelltown and Leichhardt, they should be there in droves. Just get them in there, screaming, change that ref's mind ever so slightly, just ever, those little 1%ers. I love that shit. That's what we need.
Didn't happen at Leichhardt.
Last week.
Or the week before. Yeah, we won't get into that.
We didn't need to.
No, exactly. But it should have been 72-6. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Oh, stop it! Love it. All right, boys.
Rightio, boys. Now, before I wrap up, any last thoughts?
No, I like the fact that we've all three of us have gone our teams this week. So let's hope that luck is on our side.
As the first time for everything. Todd, thanks for joining us, Toby. Always a pleasure, mate. Guys, listening on the airwaves there, don't forget PSA every week. We say it. YouTube, Facebook, Tiger Town Podcast. Don't forget to hop onto West Tigers Podcast and West Life Podcast. We say it every week as well. Those blokes do it better than us. Tell them who sent you. As for that, gentlemen, we only got one thing to do, and that's sign out with a good old Go the West Tigers.
Go up the Blues.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
we might have to change that.
Go the West
Tigers.
Blues.
You beauty.
Yep.
Thanks for everybody for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me, fellas.
Bye.